Hello everyone, welcome back to another video, and today we are going to solve another LeetCode problem, which is this one: delete duplicates in a list. So here, as always, we are going to solve this using task-driven development again, and let's see the brief example of the problem. So here we already have like a sorted list here, and the goal is to get rid of any duplicated nodes here. So for example, 1 is pointing to 1 again, 1 is pointing to 2 here, and we found that this one is duplicated. So what we need to do is remove this one here to become this one. So 1 pointing to 2, and this one is the same. 1 is pointing to 1, and then we need to remove this one, so that 1 is pointing to the next of 1, which is 2, and 2 to 3 is not duplicated, and 3 to 3 it's already duplicated, so that we need to remove this 3 and make this 3 pointing to the next of the 3, which is null here, or nil. So that's basically how we can like do that. And yeah, let's go and solve this linked list problem with TDD. So let's open the Xcode, and I'm gonna copy paste the delete duplicates here, and let's rename this and set up the project. Okay, I'm gonna create a new project here, and let's see if we can make an macOS framework there. And let's copy paste, and I'm gonna like making this more specific: delete duplicates in list or linked list. And let's go, and yep, we can go to the next and save it somewhere on our computer, and let's make this as big as we need. Okay, let's go to the task, and hopefully we can build with safely. Let's build the project, I guess, and or we can just write create a failing test here. Task we should fail, and we should tell the Xcode to fail here, and let's hit Command U. Okay, the test is already failing. Okay, the test is basically failing here, so which is pretty good. So we have a clean setup. We don't have like problem to run the test here. So we could like go back to the problem here, and let's copy paste here so that we can use this code here. So let's copy, and I'm gonna like clean this up a little bit fast here. So how to like do this? By clicking the command shift and click, and we can just like editing in a multiple line, so we could like delete it and escape. And let's comment this out, and now we have like a pretty much good setup. So how to like do this problem? First, we could like start with a for example, what if the head is empty, and we are hoping that we need to return nil. Oops, return nil on head is nil, for example. There, because in test-driven development we usually start in a very minimum way of doing it. So yeah, let's go ahead and let's make the SUT, which is the solution here, and then we need to call the function there, and we need to pass nil there as the head, and we get the result, and we are hoping that it is actually returning a nil value right here. So we need to make this list node to equitable. So let's create the equitable conformance there, extension list node equitable there, and I believe we need to like override the equitable function. And what is this equitable again? The same as the previous video, I guess. Basically returning the left side, the value should be equal to the right side of, the value of the right side, and the next as well. So dot next should be equal to the right side dot next there. And we could like compile this, and let's satisfy the compiler, so we could like return nil right now, and let's command U again. Okay, so basically we are passing this task, so we can like commit here. delete duplicates, returns nil on nil head. Cool. Okay, so what if right now we don't want to return nils when we have, like, for example, single head? So we could like try to test that logic. So function test delete duplicates returns non-nil on single head right here. So we need the solution here, and then we need the result, for example, and this head is the list node of the value here, and we are hoping that our assertion should be, the result should be the same value as this. But why don't we make a variable there? For example, head, this one, and we are hoping that the value should be this one because it's not duplicated anyway, so it should return that head. So let's run the test again and see we are actually have a failing test over here. And how to like fix this? We could just like return the head for now. So if the head is nil, it is going to return nil here. But if the head is not nil, then we just return that head, right? And let's run the test again. Okay, we are good to go right now. So let's commit here. So delete duplicates returns no nil on single head. Let's commit. And let's move to another test cases. So what we want to test returns, for example, returns head on non-duplicated list here, right? So for example, we already have this setup head, but the list node is something like a value of 1, and we have the next, right? Oh, let me fix this. Value of 1, and we have the value of next, which is the another list node with the value of for example 2 here, and we need the instance here, and of course we need to call the function with the head, and we're expecting that head should be equal to this head, right? So let's try to run the test, and of course we are going to pass because we're just passing this one, right? So let's comment again and see. Okay, so let's go to the next test cases here. So what I want to test here, to delete duplicates, returns head on duplicated list here. And what I want to do is, and let's bring this example here. So this one should be pointing to 1 and should be pointing to nil, which is very simple list, and transform that one into this one pointing to nil because we are going to remove this one, right? So what is the head definition here? Basically, we can like copy here, I guess, and let's define it correctly. 1 pointing to 1 and pointing to nil. We can like define like this, and we need the SUT here, of course. Then we need to call or invoke, and we get the result, and we are expecting that our code should be equal to list node pointing to 1 and with a duplication basically there. And let's cut this, and let's command U, and let's see if we have like a failing test, of course. Okay, great, we have a failing test. Okay, so how to like do this? Well, we could like, for example, iterate through the list here. So we need like iterate while my current I or iterator, or we could like call it current here, is not nil, which means that we can still doing this kind of loop here. And while if it's not nil, then if, for example, we found duplication, is found duplication here, then what we need to do is we need to remove the duplication. So what is this remove definition here? So let's see. So if, for example, we iterate this one and we don't have any duplication, then we can go to the next, and if we found this value, the current node is equal to the previous one, then it is a duplication. Then we can remove the current one and make this previous one pointing to the next. So the key is make this previous one pointing to the next. So basically we need to keep track on the previous node as well. So what we want to do is pointing my previous dot next is equal to the current dot next. There. It means that we are skipping this one basically. And what if it is not a duplication there? It means that we need to increment the previous node. So for example, we are here in the current node and the previous one is nil here. But if the current is here right now and the previous one should be moved to here, right? Because this one is moving, the current one is moving. But if the current node is here, then the previous one should be here. So we need some kind of increment on the previous node. So the previous node is equal to the current, right? Because the current is gonna be the previous one after we end the loop. And of course we need to increment the current node because this one is the loop iterator. So the current is equal to current dot next here. And I believe we need to introduce the optional here. So let me fix this quickly. There. So if we run tests again, we cannot compile because the compiler is telling us, hey, we don't have this kind of variable right now. So what is the current node? Well, the current node is actually the very first node that we are going to iterate in. So it's actually the head because it's the first node, right? And we need the previous node. What is the previous node? Is actually at the first time we don't have any previous node here because the previous one is nil. So we need to make this as nil, and the type is list node optional here, or optional list node. And what is this? Is found duplication. What is this saying? Basically, the current node dot value should be equal to the previous one. So the current dot value is equal to the previous one dot value. So it means that we found a duplication. And I believe that's all of the logic. And let's run the test again and let's see if we can passing the test. Okay, that's great. We can pass the test. And I believe we could remove this and commit again. Okay, to make sure that we can like copy and paste the example, like the list example on the LeetCode and see what happened in our logic here. So let's see in the case one here, we could like use this one, and I believe we can like create a new task, I guess, to cover that scenario. So let's do this. So 1 pointing to 1, pointing to 2, list node with the value of 2 here, and the result should be list 1 pointing to 2 only here, I believe. And of course we need to rename the test. Remove duplicated nodes on longer list here. So let's run the test again and see. Hopefully we have a green state, and yes, that's correct. And we can like commit here. Remove duplicated nodes on longer list. Cool. And I believe that should do it. And let's try to copy paste the solution here to the LeetCode and see what happened. Hopefully we are good to go. Let's copy here, paste, and let's run the test. And before creating this video, I've already created some of the like test cases. That's why I have like plenty of test cases here. But yeah, that's the idea basically. And let's submit and let's see. We should be able to pass all of the tests. Cool. So that's how we can like solving this kind of problem with test-driven development. Of course, sometimes it's overwhelming, but you can see that it's actually simple because we are starting or solving the logic one by one, step by step. in a very little but incremental way. So this is how we could do test-driven development in general. So yeah, so that's all about the video. Hit like and subscribe, and see you in the next video. Bye.